I'm Dr. B. Surekha Reddy, working as Assistant Professor at Department of ECE, Institute of Aeronautical Engineering, Dundigal. So, I'm going to introduce this course, which is on electronic measurement and instrumentation, which is basically designed for BTech 5th semester under JNTU syllabus and all. So, today I'll start the introduction to electronic measurement and instrumentation, in which I'll be discussing about introduction to measurements, like why do we require to measure a quantity, and what is instrumentation and all these things. So this is the overall course outline of the course, which is electronic measurement and instrumentation, in which there are 5 modules which we'll be covering here in this course. So first module is on introduction to measuring instruments. So here basically we have different type of instruments in electronics, like when we measure current or voltage or frequency or any time period or any other quantity, like any other things, either we are measuring in the electrical or electronics, we have different type of instruments we have. So first we are going to see like what are those different types of measuring instruments, some basic measuring instruments and all, how these basic measuring instruments are designed basically. Okay, so next in the second module we are going to discuss about the oscilloscope. So oscilloscope is also another type of measuring instrument in which we can visualize the output or visualize the input signals also. So basically what we can see there is a graphical representation of the signals. So and by looking at the graphical representation, we can see like with respect to the frequency or with respect to the time, how the amplitude of the signal is being varied over there. So how we have different type of oscilloscopes in order to visualize this particular graphical representation of the signals, any signals. So we are going to discuss about different types of oscilloscopes in that one, and like what is the internal, what will be there inside the oscilloscopes and all. Okay. So next in the third module, we'll be discussing about signal generators and signal analyzers. So here basically signal generators, what we will be using it for is like both signal generators and signal analyzers for taking some input, like whenever we design any circuit, in the circuit we have to give some certain type of input to that. Say for example square wave or sine wave or any triangular wave, we need to give as an input to the input to the circuit. So how the particular signal is being generated using different type of signal generators, and like how we are going to analyze different type of signals using signal analyzers, all these things we are going to discuss in the third module. And coming to the fourth module, there we are going to discuss about AC and DC bridges. So basically these bridges mostly we'll be using for finding some unknown objects and all. So that we'll be discussing about Wheatstone bridge, Wien bridge, and different Hayes bridge, different types of bridges we'll be discussing in the fourth module. And following for last one is the fifth module, like which is where we'll be discussing about different types of transducers. Like transducers is the basic in the block diagram of an electronic instrument. Like when we look into any electronic instrument, transducer is the first thing which we'll be using so as to convert one form of the signal to the other form. So here basically like transducer, when we speak about the term transducer, what we'll be having is sensors, actuators, different type of things will be there. So we'll be discussing about different types of transducers, how to convert from one form to the other, like how to convert pressure to voltage, or like pressure to other form, or any other input. Like we'll be having one sensor, how the particular input is taken through the sensor, how the data will be converting into the other form basically. So we'll be discussing about different types of transducers in the fifth module. So these are some of the textbooks or reference books which we can follow, like to learn about this particular subject, electronic measurement and instrument. So first one is K. Lal Kishore, written by K. Lal Kishore. The title is Electronic Measurements and Instrumentation. It is under the publisher Pearson Education. So you can go through the second edition, or you can also go through the advanced edition also. So next one is Electronic Instrumentation by H.S. Kalsi, which is designed by Tata McGraw-Hill's publishers. Next one is Electrical and Electronic Measurement and Instrumentation by A.K. Sahani. So these 3 textbooks you can follow in order to learn about this subject more and more. So coming to the first module, which is on introduction to measuring instruments. So this is the syllabus of the particular module one, in which we have blocks. We have different topics in this one, in which we'll be discussing about introduction to measurements and instrumentation first. Then we'll be discussing about block schematics of measuring systems, performance characteristics, in which we'll be looking at different characteristics of instruments basically, which are static characteristics as well as the dynamic characteristics. And in static characteristics, we have again different type of characteristics are there, which are used to check whether the particular system is static or dynamic in nature. So we have different characteristics further in static characteristics like accuracy, resolution, precision, etc. We'll be discussing about all these things. And in dynamic characteristics, we will be discussing about repeatability, reproducibility, fidelity, and lag. And next, we discuss about different types of errors. So here, while we measure a particular quantity, so theoretical value will not be equal to the practical value every time. So whenever we measure something, there will be slight error, definitely it will be there. So we'll be discussing about different types of errors in the instruments basically. And next is analog measuring instruments. So and in that one, apart from that, we'll be discussing about D'Arsonval movement. So, which is also called as a PMMC movement, which is a permanent magnetic moving coil in type instrument. So, using this PMMC instrument, we can design other type of meters also, like whether it is a AC meter or DC meter. All these meters, we are using PMMC meter or galvanometer as a basic meter, and we will be designing the rest of the meters. So next we'll be discussing about DC voltmeters and ammeters, and next AC voltmeters and current meters, ohm meters, multimeters, and how the meter protection will be taking over there, and extension of ranges, that is multi-range DC ohm meter, DC ammeters, multi-range DC voltmeters, and other multi-range AC voltmeters as well as multi-range AC ammeters also. And finally, we'll be discussing about different types of digital voltmeters. So previously, those were everything, like whatever the things we are discussing here were DC meters basically. Next, we'll be discussing about AC meter, AC voltmeters and all. Next, we'll be discussing about digital voltmeters, which are ramp type, staircase type, dual slope, integrating type, successive approximation type, and some specifications of the instruments. So, in coming to the introduction of this particular subject, that is electronic measurements and instrumentation, right? So here, the first word we have to know, like, what is electronics basically? Electronic deals with the motion of electrons. See here, it deals with the motion of the electrons. It is a subset of electrical, where the motion of electrons in a circuit is controlled by another circuit without mechanical parts or electromagnetism. So here, unlike in the electrical circuit, where it is in electrical circuit, mostly we'll be dealing with the very, very high voltages, right? So here, electrical system deals with higher voltages, like such as transformers, generators, etc. It comes under electrical system. So basically, in the while we are dealing with this high voltages and all, mostly we'll come across the electromagnetic fields will be there in that one, and also it will be having different type of mechanical parts like switches, relays, and all these things will be there. And in electromagnetism, we'll be having coils, which are nothing but inductors and all, inducting coils and all. So here, rather than dealing with a high range of voltages, electronics basically deals with the motion of electrons, and here it uses only low voltages in integrated circuits in the range of 0 to 15 volts. Here, whenever we say that there is an electronic instrument, what we have to know is that particular instrument is basically like it is operated in a very, very low voltages. And when we speak about electrical system, then we have to say it is dealt by very, very high voltages. So electronics is basically dealing with the motion of electrons. The other thing which we have to remember is electronic systems, it will be using only lower voltages to drive their circuits. So even if we take any amplifier circuit or any other circuit like FET amplifier, FET based amplifier, or BJT based amplifier, or operational amplifiers, or other type of things like multivibrator, different things, all the electronic devices or different electronic circuits. When we look at that one, we'll be having the input voltages not exceeding in the range of 0 to 15 volts. It can be in the range of minus 15 volts to 15 volts, but it won't be exceeding mostly in the range of 15 volts. Even if it exceeds, it won't be greater than 20 volts. So here every time, like whenever say there is an electronic system, then its operating voltage will be in the range of like less than 20 volts only will be taking over. So instrumentation basically is the use of measuring instruments to monitor and control a process. It is the art and science of measurement and control of process variables within a laboratory, manufacturing area, industry, etc. So here, whenever we speak about the term instrumentation, it is basically like we use different type of instruments in our laboratory, such as oscilloscopes we are using, and ammeters we are using, and we are using different type of instruments like in electromagnetic, like when we are dealing with antennas and wave propagation also, we'll be having different type of waveguides, etc. will be there. So all these are nothing but the instruments. So all these using of these instruments in order to measure a particular quantity or particular thing, we can say. Okay, so when we are measuring, the particular thing will be that measuring the frequency, and when we measure the current, then the particular thing we are measuring will be the current then. So here all these are nothing but the instruments. So measuring some quantity using an instrument is nothing but a instrumentation. So the technology of this particular instrumentation is a technology of measurement which serves in different fields such as sciences, engineering, medicine, etc. So here when we say sciences, now take for example, we have some biology there, or any chemistry is there. So in this one we'll be having some chemical process will be there. So in this chemical process we'll be having different things will be there, such as like we give some we just take two chemicals and we just try to combine those things, and we'll just look at the output characteristics of the particular chemical. What will be the output of the chemical? So, and to measure how which quantity is how it is combining and how these things are being done, and some analyzers are there. So basically we have some analyzers in order to see like how the particular chemicals have been mixed, and what is the ratio of mixing of these two elements, and how much this can be done. So initially like many analyzers are there. So here basically those analyzers we can say it as an instrument over there. So instrumentation is a technology of measurement which serves in this particular sciences also, not only chemical but in also physics. Like when we speak about physics, we'll be having different type of sensor will be there, and different types of vernier calipers will be there, and the next different measurement instruments will be there. So it serves its purpose in sciences. And next is engineering. We already know in engineering, and specifically in electronics engineering over here. So here what we are using is ammeters, next we are using some different types of voltmeters we are using. We are using different types of voltmeters, and next we are using different types of oscilloscopes we are using, and different type of signal analyzers. So all these are nothing but the instruments which we are using for engineering tasks. And here in civil engineering, when we come to the civil engineering, we have different types of CAD tools will be there, and electrical engineering also we'll be using different type of instruments like there to in order to measure the whether it is an voltage or whether the power they are going to measure over there in watts anyhow. So different instruments are there which also deals with that. Instrumentation is also used in engineering field and also in medicine. When we come to the medicine, we can see nowadays we have many things, many devices such as MRI scanning is there, EEG instruments are there, ECG instruments. So these instruments are used to capture the particular information from a person. Like when we just move on to the particular MRI scan, like MRI scanning instrument is there over there, which is used to take the MRI scan. As such is the case in the EEG, ECG, heart rate is there, pulse rate is there. All these things are there. Like in all these fields, we are using this particular instrument. So again, the instrumentation serves its purpose in medicine, and mostly in other fields also, this particular instrumentation technology can be used. So here Instrument is a device for determining the value or magnitude of a quantity or variable. So here, whenever we say there is there is an instrument, it is basically used to determine the value or magnitude of a quantity or variable. So here, what is meant by determining the value or magnitude of a quantity or variable is here. Whenever we design a particular circuit, the output of the circuit here, it can be anything. We can just take the output as a gain, which is nothing but a ratio, and we can also consider the output as some voltage, whose measurement is in the volts. And when we take the current, then it is in amperes. Then if we take any frequency, then it is in the hertz. So here basically it is a device for determining the value of a or magnitude of a quantity or variable. So here we are going to measure this particular quantities or variables. So depending upon the circuit which we are going to use, basically with respect to that, we are going to choose the instrument where we are going to look at the readings or going to look at the graphical representation of the particular output or the input over there. So electronic instrument basically is based on the electrical or electronic principles for its measurement functions. So electronic instrumentation, we have the word like electronic instrumentation. So basically when we say that there is an electronic instrument, it is basically used for the on electrical or electronic principles for its measurement function. So here we have different type of instruments. Just now we have spoken about different type of analyzers, we have spoken different type of other things, like even common balance also, it comes as a instrument itself, but we can't say it as an electronic instrument because it doesn't follow the principles of electronics over there. So whenever there is a motion of electrons in a particular circuit, and whenever we are going to analyze such type of circuit and analyze in that type of circuitry, if we are going to use any instrument in order to measure the output of such circuit, then we can say that particular instrument is nothing but an electronic instrument. So, according to Lord Kelvin, when you can measure what you are speaking about and express it in numbers, you know something about it. But when you cannot measure it, when you cannot express it in numbers, your knowledge is of a meager and unsatisfactory kind. It may be the beginning of knowledge, but you have scarcely in your thoughts advanced to the state of science, whatever the matter may be. So here, for example, let us take an example here. So, I have a quantity. Here I have a jug here, and it is filled with some water or any other liquid over here. It is filled till here. So I know the reading at this particular point. I know at this point, so some 2, it is showing, it is indicating at some 2.0 it is indicating. And this has to be represented with some standard units. I have to measure this particular type thing. So I can't say every time that, okay, this jug is filled to half. I can't say like that. Rather than I have to say that how much quantity is there in the particular container over there. So if I just say that, okay, it is filled with a half, then next container will be there, but it won't be of the same shape. If I fill the same thing in the container, which is very, very wide, it might be coming till here. Maybe coming only till here. So in this type of cases, what we have to say is we have to say how much quantity is there for how much quantity is there of this particular liquid. That is very, very important. So that's why according to Lord Kelvin, what he is saying is here, when you can measure what you are speaking about. I'm speaking about some liquid, and I'm saying that 2 liters of liquid is filled in this one, then it makes some sense. But if we can't say that how much liquid is filled in this one while we are speaking about in an experiment, actually, when we are speaking in an experiment. So if I say some quantity is filled in this one, it won't make any sense. So rather than that, if we say that 2 liters of liquid is filled in the particular container, then it makes some sense. So that's why, when you can measure that what you are speaking about and express it in numbers, then you make some sense. Otherwise, it won't be any they'll be saying that you have very, very unsatisfactory knowledge about the particular thing over there. So now coming to the next term in the electronic measurements and instrumentation. Till now we have spoken about learned about electronics. What is electronics? Why when we say we are dealing with electronics, and what is instrumentation, electronic instrument, what is electronic instrument basically. And now next we are moving on to the measurement process. So now in the previous note itself, we have discussed like why we have to measure a particular quantity, like why it makes sense to measure a particular quantity. So now why do we measure? Like in day-to-day life we have this question anyhow. So why do we measure basically? So here, to estimate the amount of something, that is to quantify something. So estimate the something means, like just now I said, like there is some quantity is there in this one. I have to say how much quantity is there in this particular container, or I have to say like if there is any weight is there. This is some weights we are going to measure on this one. So when we put something on this one, digital weights we can measure on this one basically, like let us say for example. So here how much it measures, how much we have to measure the quantity. I have some fruits are there, I have to measure how many kgs it is there. Okay, or how many number of fruits is there. Even if we say that how many number of fruits is there, still it is estimating the amount of the quantity itself. So here the measurement is nothing but estimate the amount of something. Something is anything, like any quantity we are going to measure, whether it is in a liquid, whether it is solid, or any, like even gases also we measure it in terms of some pressure and all. So here whenever there is something, some quantity, we have to quantify the particular, we have to estimate the particular something over there. So that is why we require measurement. Next one is to assign numerical values to concepts following physical laws. So here when we speak about different types of physical laws, such as Ohm's law is there, gravitational law is there, gravitational law, pull is there. Okay, so different things we have. So assign numerical values to concepts following physical laws. So here whenever we assign a numerical value to a particular law, then only we can validate the particular law over there. When we say about routinely monitor industrial processes, now this is a power station, which will be, we can see in many industries, we can see such type of power station. So here in this type of power station, just look at this picture, we have lot many switches here. See, there is a switch over here, there is a switch here, there is a switch, see here there is a switch, and there is a lights are there, here there is a switch, there is a switch over. So like this we have different type of switch and different type of indicators are there in this particular power station, for example. Okay, so here when we just look at this one, definitely like if there is any power changes or any tripping can be there, and if we look at, see this power station, it can be operating different instruments in the industry. So whenever this in particular instrument is being done manually without any interference of any man, so if it is done manually, then definitely there has to be power given to the particular instrument at every time. So here for that purpose, for the process to come continue continuously, it has to produce something every time, the particular instrument. So here this particular instrument should be given with some input every time. So here to routinely monitor this particular industrial processes, see here we have to check how much power it is being given to the particular instrument every time. So every time we have to measure the particular quantity, measure all these things, how it is being held out. So as soon as this particular thing is off, then we can say like, okay, zero volts or 0 watts is given to the particular instrument. So that's why what we have to make sure is every time power has to be given to the particular instruments or in the industry, to each and every component or equipment over there. So to routinely monitor industrial processes, we have to make measurement over there. So here why do we measure? The next thing is to verify the laws of nature. So if we speak about laws of nature, where the laws of nature will be there, like say basically initially any law, it will be a hypothesis. So a hypothesis becomes a law only when it is validated by experiments. So here first what they say something, but they have to validate the particular hypothesis, then only we can say that the particular law is. So for example, the gravitational law is there. Anyhow, we can make an experiment such as dropping a pen or dropping a pencil. According to when we drop it, like if it just falls on the ground, then we can say okay, it has a gravitational pull, and because of that it is falling on the, so such as that one, we have different scientific methods are there which have different hypotheses over there. So here the hypothesis becomes a law only when it is validated by experiment. So here in the scientific method, what we'll be having is, first is to ask a question, then after that we like a background research will be done on the particular thing, like whatever the question is asked regarding anything. Then so next after that, then it forms a hypothesis. Then next it forms a hypothesis. Then after that, we move on to the test your hypothesis via experimentation. So just by doing some research and coming to a conclusion in this particular hypothesis, we can't make sure that particular thing is true over there. So after forming a hypothesis, okay, we'll say that okay, by giving this much of so in some electronic instrument, for example, I have an amplifier over there. So before that, for example, I have given a filter. So C filter, capacitor filter I have given, and this capacitor value from the research means from the different literature survey I have done, and from that one I'll just conclude it to be 0.1 microfarad, for example. And when it is given to the certain amplifier, then it gives good gain. I'm just saying it, I'm just stating it. So it is according to our electronics basically. So here if we say this thing, it's just our view over there. So once we just take it to our lab, and when we test with different instruments, okay, then only after via experimentation only. So here I can claim the gain to be, for example, 100 times the gain. Okay, so when I give an input to be 1, then the output will be 100 times greater than that one, for example. So here I am claiming this thing. Now after doing different experiment results only, I can make sure that okay, whether I'm getting this particular 100 as a gain or not. So here the hypothesis, just by stating it, it won't be any law. So rather than that, a hypothesis becomes a law only when it is validated by different experimentation process. So here in the while we experiment using different type of things, so here we analyze the data and draw some conclusions, and then we accept or reject or refine your hypothesis based upon. So now, if the gain is equals to 100, then definitely we can accept the particular thing. Like okay, if I design a filter before the amplifier, then it is a very good filter and it can give a gain about 100. So even if the gain is nearly equal to 100 also, then it is still acceptable. But if the gain is not equal to 100, rather than that it is around 50, then in this type of situations, it won't be acceptable for us. So for that purpose, what we can do is, one is either we can directly reject it, or we can refine this one. And again, after refining, again we follow the same process. That is, we form a hypothesis again using some theoretical formulas and all. We form a hypothesis, and again we do the experimentation process and further analyze the data, and again we come to a conclusion. And again, if looking at the gain, we can say whether to accept it, reject it, or refine it. And if still the gain is not improving, even after making some slight modifications in the particular capacitor designing over here, so filter actually, it is not only simply capacitor, it is a filter design over here. So even if if there is no proper output here, then definitely that particular thing, either again you can refine it or reject it. And the cases where you can reject it directly is, rather than improving this is basically an amplifier which has to strengthen the signal. So here it has to increase the amplitude over there. Whether if you give amplitude input as an amplitude, then input voltage has to be increased with respect to the amplifier. Rather than increasing, if it is decreasing by 1/50, for example. Okay, so if it is decreasing, then definitely we can reject the particular hypothesis, because the amplifier's purpose is to strengthen the signal. So in such cases where it is decreasing the input, so when the input is 1 volt, then output is 1/50, then definitely we can reject the hypothesis directly over. Okay, or still we can try to refine it, and still if there is no improvement, and if it doesn't satisfy this particular original hypothesis, then we can reject the particular hypothesis over. So in the particular entire process, we do different type of measurements in the experiment analysis to draw, analyze So here in this particular process, so we test your hypothesis and via experimentation. Here we do different type of measurements, and here while we are analyzing the data and drawing some conclusions also, we use different type of measurement process. So there you can use ratio or different measurements we'll be doing while we are analyzing the data also. So next one, like next thing, why we measure is here. So as the basis of control, that is for example, like I'm checking the speed of a vehicle as the basis of control means now we are moving in a vehicle, for example, it will be having its own speedometer. So when we are measuring, so like for example, this is pointing to 0 and here it is pointing around 40 and here it is 80, 120, so here 180. This is nothing but in kilometers per hour we are measuring the speed of the particular vehicle. So in this particular vehicle, like whenever we are moving on any road or anything, so what we do is we look at the particular meter. So depending upon the meter, so usually like previously we used to have vehicles where there are gears has to be changed in the particular vehicle. So depending upon where the particular kilometers per hour this needle shows for us, so depending upon that one, the gear has to be changed, switched over. So now even in the auto gear system also, while we are moving on a road, that particular road will be designated only up to certain kilometers per hour. It won't be so more so the particular speed cannot exceed 80 kilometers per hour. And when it is in a residential area, then it can't exceed 40 kilometers per hour. So such is the case like in normal roads over there. So here we have to look at this particular meter and we have to check how much the meter reading is showing, and then what we can do is we can control the vehicle. So we can just decrease the speed of our vehicle and we can just get back to the original speed, which is 40 kilometers or 80 kilometers per hour, such as that. So we should basically in order to control the vehicle, we have to do this measurement process. Next one is here to help establishing and enforcing different standards to any measurement process, like in any instrument or in any measurement process, we have to measure the particular values and to identify and share resources. So for example, we have fossil fuels which are there in nature. So each and every country, it will be having its own natural resources will be there. So time to time we have to check how much fossil fuels are there, how is the petrol mines or how is the coal mines are there, and different things. We have to measure all these things time to time. We have to identify how much quantity is there, and so as to share the particular resources with other countries and all. So in this process also, we have to measure the particular quantity over there. And next thing is for trading and commerce. So now when we move to the stock market, for example, so then there will be a stock market, like here they'll be saying today the stocks has moved to this, it has increased, sometimes it has decreased, it has fallen, and again it has raised, like this one. So we have different analysis. So in trading and commerce also, we have to measure like how much profit is there, how much loss is there. So on all these things we have to do some measurement process. So in this case also we measure it. And next one for the performance evaluation. Performance evaluation is a very, very common thing which we'll be doing in almost most of the experiment as well as in our examination system also. So in order to check the performance of a particular student, so whether they're getting marks in the grades, like from in between like whether they're getting A grade, B grade, C grade, or whether they're getting the points in the CGPA we are using it, and also percentages we are using. So all these things are nothing but performance evaluation of a particular student. And we move into different experiments. For example, I am designing any system which has to give an accuracy of actually the design system which we are designing. What we'll design it for is to have 100% accuracy in its system. So here, So for example, machine learning algorithm we have designed. So in this machine learning algorithm, what we try to get is a 100% accuracy. So here, in order to check how much accuracy we are getting, definitely we have to do again the measurement process, like by using some confusion matrices or recall, ROC curves, then recall, then again sensitivity, different things will be there. So in order to evaluate the particular system over there. So in performance evaluation also, we have to do the measurement process. So, measurement is the process of determining the amount, degree or quantity by comparison with the accepted standards of the system units being used. So, now what is meant by accepted standards of system units is here. For frequency, we have to measure it in definitely in hertz only. Hertz. And when we speak about current, we have to measure in amperes. Okay. Now, if it is in voltage, then volts. Okay. And in other systems also, these are electronic system, for example, and normal common system also. Then we have, if we are measuring a weight, then it has to be in grams or kilograms. And if we are measuring any liquids, it has to be in liters. Such is the case. So here now looking at this one, these are accepted standards. So previously we used to have MKS, CGS systems used to be there. But if we speak specifically, these are the accepted standards of the particular measurement of that. So whenever we measure the frequency, it has to be in hertz only. Whenever we measure the current, then definitely its standard unit is amperes. And whenever we measure it, so voltage for example, then its standard unit is volt. So such is the case. Measurement is the process of determining an amount, degree or capacity. Like we are measuring a particular quantity, but with comparison with the accepted standards of the system units. That is with respect to the accepted standards of system units only we are going to measure them. So if we have any liquid, sometimes people also measure it by grams, that is different, but we can't measure it using frequency, hertz. We can't say that, okay, 50 hertz is there for 50 hertz of water we are using. So we can't use that term, right? And also frequency is of 25 amperes. We can't say like that. So this is not, amperes is not the standard unit for the particular quantity over there. So that's why the measurement is the process of determining the amount or degree or capacity of a quantity, but with the accepted standards of the system units. So measurand is a quantity that is intended to be measured. So here whatever the quantity which we have to measure is nothing but the measurand over here. So for example, we have fundamental quantities such as length, mass, time, etc. And we have derived quantities which are speed, velocity, pressure, etc. And when we come to the electronics, we have different with different things like frequency, current, voltage, power, and time period. Different things we will be having. These are nothing but the measurements. These are these things which we are going to measure actually. So here, how the process of comparison in the measurement process takes place. That is, here it is a process of determining the amount with accepted comparison with the accepted standards of units. So how the process of comparison takes place is, first we give the standard of unknown quantity. So whatever the unknown quantity we are going to measure, we give the standard of the quantity. For example, I'm going to measure frequency. So the accepted standard is here hertz, for example. So next one is a measurand. Here we give the measurand to this one, and with respect to the standard of unknown quantity, we make a comparison here, and whatever the measurand is there, like for example, I'm measuring it as a frequency over here, and it is of 1 hertz. 1 it is showing, and here it is as hertz. So finally the result will be as 1 hertz or 1 kilohertz. So like this, the measurement process will be done with respect to the standard of unknown quantity. So measurement confirms the validity of a hypothesis and adds it to the understanding. So basically, validation of the hypothesis, we can use the measurement of it. So this leads to new discoveries of more sophisticated measuring techniques. So here previously we have only analog instruments, like analog meters were there. So here previously, while measuring the current in laboratories, for example, we have a meter like this one. So, and there is a pointer which points to the particular point, and all these things, it can be in microamperes, milliamperes, depending upon the output of the circuit over there. So now here, by understanding how the measurement process is taking place, we can also make new discoveries such as designing. This is basically AC meter, and we can make new discoveries such as designing a DC meter. So where we can just look at the value itself. There's no need, there won't be any ambiguity in this one, and as such, that like more improvement we can say, there won't be any misleading of this particular information. So when we are using this particular type of AC meters here, so analog meters basically, analog meter. So what happens is here, there might be, so the difference between this point and this point might be very, very minute, and because of parallax error, the way we are visualizing the particular meter, the readings might be wrong sometimes. So when we go for digital meters instead of analog meters, if we go for digital meters, what happens is directly you can see the numbers over. So 19.90, like this you can see. So this is nothing but the leading to the new discoveries. So once we know how the particular measurement is being done, how the measurement process takes place, then we can discover different more sophisticated measuring techniques. So through this, the measurement process can be accomplished with maximum efficiency, minimum cost, and with the desired degree of reliability and maintainability. So here, by designing, by understanding how the measurement process takes place, by discovering new things, more sophisticated techniques for measurement process, what we can accomplish is a maximum efficiency, that is maximum accuracy we can get in the measurement process with a minimum cost. So rather than going for a very, very complex circuitry, we can minimize the cost, and we can use small equipment we can use, and we can minimize the cost over there, and with the desired degree of reliability and maintainability. And even even such instrument which is used for measurement process, it can be more reliable, and also the maintenance also will be comparatively easier compared to the original one. Original one means like older one we can say over there. So measured value is any value or reading calculated for measurement system or system. So here in the measurement process, we have two things. That is, like, one is a measured value. The other one is a true or actual value. So measure value is nothing but like in an instrument, by using an instrument, whenever we are going to measure something, so that particular output which we are seeing on the meter reading or on the meter, it is nothing but this is whatever displayed on this one. There's nothing but a measured value. And next one is a true value or actual value is calculated from rated value. So here true value, what we can say it as expected value also we can say it as. So here a true value or actual value is basically the rated value. So basically it has to be some, theoretically I have calculated all these things. So now for example, resistance or current or voltage, when I have calculated, it can be something like the 20 volts. Theoretical value also we can say. So definitely whenever we measure something, the true value and the measured value won't be same. Definitely there will be some deviation because of the circuitry we are designing, or because of the different components we are using in the circuit. So when we speak about any electronic circuit, what will be having mostly is resistors will be, passive elements will be, the active elements will be, such as active elements means like different elements such as voltmeters will be there, then ammeters will be there, then again resistors will be there, capacitors will be there, and inductors we can use, op amps we can use. So different elements can be there, transistors can be there. So here all these things which are resistors, all these elements which are there are already designed and which we are using in the circuit over there. So here these things or these elements also have plus or minus some tolerance value. It won't have its exact value, but there will be some tolerance rate also they'll be providing, and it also has its temperature ratings also. Temperature rating. So when its temperature rating exceeds, definitely there will be some problem in the measurement process, because that particular element can't withstand that particular, if temperature is increased, or if it is not in the range of the particular temperature rating. So in such cases, what happens is the theoretical value will not be exactly as the practical value. So what we can say is that but measured value is a practical value which we can see in the measurement process, and the true value is nothing but we can say is it as a theoretical value. So here next term is error. Error is nothing but the deviation of measured value from the true value. So whatever the measured value is there, any deviation from the measured value to the true value is nothing but a error. So here any deviation from the theoretical value, from the any deviation of the practical value from the theoretical value is nothing but the error over there. So whenever I say here the theoretical value is 20 volts, when I have taken all the things, all the circuitry, when I'm designing the circuitry initially, so we'll be looking at different resistors, capacitor values, we'll be fixing it, right? So whenever I'm starting to design these things, so I will be assuming some certain quantities. So in the process of that one, when I have designed it, I got the intended voltage, which is nothing but 20 volts. But when I have taken the circuit, when I have taken all the elements and I have used the same resistor value, same capacitor value, so same type of transistors or FET transistors over there. So in such cases, what happens is because of different reasons, it might be deviating from the theoretical value. So that's why practical value and theoretical value won't be same. That is measured value and true value won't be same. So any deviation of measured value from the true value is nothing but the errors. So it is given by this particular equation, that is measured value error equals to measured value minus true value. So here so when we have a measuring instrument and there is a true value which is nothing but the theoretical value, then finally we get a measured value over here. So here we can give like in order to get this particular value, we can give theoretically these resistors, capacitors, or any other transistor, different type of transistor, we can give it to this circuit. So this measuring instrument, after this, we can say this as a circuit over here. So whenever we give it to the measuring instrument, that might not be the same. So in most of the cases, we'll try to get the same value. So if it is 20 volts, still we'll try to get it as 10.9999 volts like this one. So here, even if the deviation between these two things is 0.0001. So here, this is nothing but the error value. So any deviation of the measured value from the true value is nothing but error. And here, every time whenever we do any measuring using an instrument, what we have to remember is the theoretical value and the practical value won't be same. There will be slight deviation from the theoretical value. So, and what we have to remember is here, the deviation, the circuit which we are designing here, it has to be such that the error has to be very, very less. As much as possible, we have to make this particular error very, very less. Because this is not desirable for us. Because we don't want any error. Whatever the circuitry I'm designing it for, I want the same output. So I'm designing it for 20 volts. Then definitely the output also it should show 20 volts over there. I don't want any deviation from that one. So in this type of cases, we have to measure the particular error. So here, if this error is measured, then we can take the countermeasures, right? We can take the countermeasures and we can make some changes in the particular circuit over here, and we can just try to minimize this particular error. So that's why in the measurement process, where we take the measured value and true value, finding the error, that is to do the measurement process, is very, very important using an instrument. So there are different types of methods of measurement. That is a direct method and the other one is indirect method. So in the direct method, the measurand is directly compared against a standard, and the result is expressed as a numerical number and a unit. And the physical quantities like length, mass, time can be measured using this particular direct method. So here, whenever we speak about direct method, the measurand is directly compared against a standard means it is a general process. What we will do is we'll take a quantity, that is previously we have taken the example of frequency. So we are taking the frequency and we are measuring in terms of hertz over there by comparing with respect to the standard. And the result is expressed in numerical number, that is whether it is a 1 kilohertz, 2 kilohertz, 3 kilohertz, or 50 hertz, 10 hertz. All these are nothing but the numerical values. And the physical quantities like length, mass, time, etc. can be measured. So length can be measured by using meters, and mass can be measured by using grams, we can say, and time can be measured by using seconds. and frequency can be measured using hertz over there. And the next one is the indirect method. Here the comparison is done with a standard through calibration, used in the cases where the desired parameters are to be measured, such as acceleration, power, etc. So rather than directly measuring the quantity, so there I won't look at the like what will be the calibration over there. Rather than I'll just look at the measurement directly and compare it to the standard, and I'll take the output of that. So rather than that, here in the indirect process, what we'll do is the comparison is done with a standard. Standard, again, it is whether it is accepted standard units through calibration. Calibration means like the process of noting something over there. Used in the cases where the desired parameters are to be measured, such as acceleration, power, etc. Acceleration, again, like in physics, we'll be using this thing, acceleration, measuring the acceleration with respect to the velocity and time, all these things, and power with respect to the current and voltage. So here previously in the direct method, directly we are measuring the time, or directly we are measuring the velocity or any other mass and length. Whereas in this particular thing, acceleration and power are dependent on other terms. So directly we are not going to measure this particular acceleration. So here what we'll do is we'll measure with respect to v equals to u plus at. We have some final velocity equals to initial velocity plus acceleration into time we have, right? So by substituting different velocity and time values, we can find this particular acceleration value in this case. Such is the case in the power also. So power equals to multiplication of voltage into current. So here in this one, it is indirectly depending upon other quantities over here. And with respect to the accepted standard of power, that is nothing but watts. So such is the case here. Next. So again, the direct method in the measurement process is further divided into two types. That is deflection method. The other one is comparison method. So in the deflection method, it includes deflection of a pointer on a scale, example ammeter and voltmeter. So here already we have seen such type of instrument where there is a pointer and there is a deflection in the scale. So with respect to this particular deflection in the scale, we are going to measure the particular quantity over there. So and we are going to give its accepted standards in this one. And in the comparison method, includes comparison of the quantity with predefined standard quantity, which gives measurement. So here, for example, potentiometer. Potentiometer, basically what we'll do is we'll change the resistances and we'll try to measure, change the voltage in the in a particular path in a circuit over there. So rather than directly measuring with respect to the deflection, what it does is it makes a comparison of the quantity with the predefined standard quantity, with the previous predefined quantity, and we make the measurement in this particular comparison method of the direct method. So here in measurement process, we have different levels of measurement, which we also say as a measurement scales also. The first one is the nominal or classificatory, that is to name, identify or class objects or measurements. So here in this process, what happens is, for example, we have a group of players or we have a Aadhaar card number. So what we have is here, we have different players, player 1, player 2, player 3, like this, 1, 2, 3 players are there. So in this nominal or classificatory type of level of measurement, in this type of measurement, what happens is we don't quantify it. Rather than we just give a number to that one. That is, this is number 1, this is number 2, this is number 3. We won't do anything, like we won't do any comparison between these two players, and we won't do anything. Just it is an identification, that's it. And here when we look at different Aadhaar cards are there. So Aadhaar card 1, Aadhaar card 2, for example, we'll be having its own unique number to this one. So in this type of measurement process, what we'll do, we won't make any comparison between two persons with respect to the other number, right? So just we are giving the number to the particular Aadhaar. That is just to name, identify or class objects or measurements. That is to just name it, just to give some identity to the particular quantity over there. And so next one is here ordinal type of measurement process. That is to indicate the relative positions, ranks of objects or measurements, but not the magnitude of difference between them. So here previously I said the example of player 1, player 2, player 3, right? Now say for example, this is a running competition or athletic competition over there. So now this player 1 is getting the rank 4, for example, and player 2 is getting a rank 5, and player 3 is getting a rank 6, for example. So now here what we are doing is we are giving a rank to this particular players over there. So that is to indicate the relative positions, how much positions, like how good is the player, we can say, right? So how good is the player? That is, this player is good enough such that he can get a 4th rank, and this player is good enough to get a 5th rank. Like that, we can just make a comparison. Like we can give the relative positions of objects or measurements. But what we are not going to measure is how fast is this player. We are not going to take into consideration. And what is the difference between these two players? That is, like in terms of speed, what is the difference between these two? We are not going to take into consideration in ordinal type of measurement. That is, like example is players, rank of students or players, or grade of students or players over there, we can say. And the next type of measurement, level of measurement is interval or equal interval type of measurement. That is to indicate equal distance in the concerned objects or measurements through numerically equal distance on the scale. So now here what we have spoken is player 1, player 2, player 3 is there, right? So here, how much time this particular player is taking? Time. Here this time. This particular player is taking in order to like cross a particular length, that is 100 meters, for example, 100 meters, to just cross this particular 100 meters length. How much time player 1 is taking, player 2 is taking, player 3 is taking. This type of measurement is nothing but interval or equal interval type of measurement. That is to indicate equal distance in the concerned objects or measurements through numerically equal distance on the scale. And for example, we can also take the temperature scale also. In temperature scale also, we can say that person 1 can have, like if there is no fever, like it will be less than 98.3 degrees Celsius. So like that, if the temperature is there, then it will be around 102, 104, like that. So here on the temperature scale also, we can just take the measurement over there. And next type is the ratio. That is to incorporate all the characteristics of normal, ordinal and interval scales along with absolute zero. That is the reference point. Here, if we just take the comparison between two persons, that is the ratio of weights of two persons or the height of two persons, if you are taking to consideration. And what we are doing is we are making a comparison between two persons in respect of the ratio over here. So let's look at this particular example where we can see all the levels of measurement, where we can understand the different types of measurements here. Levels of measurement. That is, in nominal measurement, what we are doing is simply numbers assigned to runners. That is 7th player, 8th player, 9th player, we are assigning over here. And in ordinal rank, what we are doing is we are placing the order of the winners. That is, in which order they are there. So 7th player got 3rd place, 8th player got 2nd place, and 9th player got 1st place. So what we are doing here, we are assigning the particular rank based upon the performance over there. And here we are going to see like how is the performance of the particular player over there. Then next one is the interval or regular interval, equal interval we can say. So here the performance rating is on a 0 to 10 scale. That is, on the scale of 0 to 10, how I'm going to validate the particular first person's, 9th player, 8th player and 7th player. That is, on a scale of 0 to 10, I'm validating it as 9.6, and here I'm giving it as 9.1, and here I'm giving it as 8.2. So, and last one is the ratio. That is time to finish in seconds. So, when we look at different players, how much time they are taking in order to cross the particular line. So now, by looking at this particular ratio with respect to how many meters it is taking, what we can say is this particular first 9th player is taking only 13.4 seconds, whereas 8th player is taking 14.1 and 7th player is taking 15.2 seconds. So based upon this ratio, what we can do is we can say how good is the person and how much, which place the particular person can take. All these things we can say using this ratio. So what we can say, this is highest level of measurement. And this nominal level of measurement, rather we won't use in most of the cases because it is just naming or giving an identity to the particular person over there or player over there. Okay. So now, before talking about this particular instrument, like what are the basic elements in the particular instrument, let's look at the device, which is which we can say that like a major component in an electronic instrument. That is nothing but a transducer. Transducer is a device which converts the energy That is, here we can think it as a signal from one form to the another. And this process of energy conversion is often referred to as transduction here. And this transducer, the conversion of energy from one form to the other, it can be both unidirectional or bidirectional. For example, like if we take any audio or video signals, which we are transmitting through the antenna. For example, we have a transmitter antenna and the receiver antenna, both are there here. What we are doing, we are sending some audio signal or video signal to the transmitter through the antenna. Through the antenna we are sending it. So it converts to some electromagnetic waves, and it is transferred through the antenna and given to the receiver. And at the receiver end also, this EM waves will be again converted back to the audio or video signals. So such is the case. Like it can be either unidirectional or bidirectional transducer also we have. So this is the basic explanation of the particular transducer, in which a physical quantity is initially given to the transducer, which is converted into analogical normalized signal. So here, we have two types of transducer, that is, we have sensors which receives and responds to a signal or stimulus from a physical quantity, and the other one is actuator, which moves or controls a mechanism based on the input from a control system or similar systems. So here what the sensor does is it directly takes a signal or stimulus from a physical quantity and it converts to from one form to the other form, and it is formed as a analogical normalized signal, which is a meaningful signal to the particular system, any other system. And the other system is basically an actuator, where it takes the feedback from the control system, and it controls a particular mechanism. So both are different types of transducers. So the basic elements of an electronic instrument are transducer, signal modifier, and an indicating device. So the transducer basically converts a signal from one form to the other, and the signal modifier, it converts input signal into a suitable signal for the indicating device, such as an amplifier. And the indicating device, where it indicates the value of quantity being measured, for example, ammeter. So in the next class, we shall look at this electronic instrument, like how it is working and all, and different types of performance characteristics we'll be looking in the next class. Thank you.
Like, share and subscribe. Hit the bell icon for more updates.